Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I am Jerod Evanich, president and co-founder of A Place at Home. And today I have Joe Christie with me, owner of A Place at Home, North Texas. Hello, Joe.
How you doing, Jerod?
Doing great, doing great. And thanks for joining me today. We are continuing our series on our A Place at Home 2022 convention. And today we are talking about you, Joe, and what you and your wife, Janis, as business partners, have been able to accomplish in these last 3 years of business.
Right.
So I can't believe it, first off, that it's been 3 years, and that's something. And, Joe, before I get into kind of the reason why we're here and how you got there, first, let's just backtrack a little bit. Tell me just an overview of what these last 3 years being a place at home owner has looked like for you.
Well, we opened in October of 2019, and we spent a lot of time working, attending a lot of functions, going to network events, making a lot of site inspections and site visits, and we made a lot of great contacts. That was really a wonderful thing because once the pandemic hit, 4 to 5 months after we did open, things start closing down, as everybody knows, and it slowed down. And we really had to count on the people that we had worked with and met, because our first two clients came from referrals from sources that we had made just prior to the pandemic closing everything down. And one was a short term, but the other one is still with us today. So we've been there for 3 years with us, and that one panned out very well. So it's one of those things where you wish the pandemic wouldn't have come, because just starting out, it sort of put a damper on where we were at to begin with. But we started growing throughout the pandemic. That first year, we started taking a lot more clients by the end of that year, 2020. And then 2021, we're back in the office and things are going really well, going full blast. And the thing is that we were working so hard, it's just like you're swimming just to try to keep up a little bit on what's going on, because it was only Janis and I at that time. And it's very stressful when you have to hire these caregivers and get your new clients and make sure they're all happy. So, but we got all that taken care of, and things start growing, and then it got to be growing so fast that we hired a couple of people for our office. We have an office manager and a community care manager, and they're doing wonderful things for us. They both came in June and then July this year.
That is fantastic. And what an accomplishment, to be able to have that support staff and structure behind you, allow you to, work on the business, not only in the business, and set your sights on growth. And growth is definitely something that you all have done. So this year, on our 2022 convention, during our award ceremony, you and Janis were presented with an impressive award. Your location had the highest year-over-year growth of the entire system out of all of our locations in A Place at Home, which is phenomenal. It's great, and 137% growth since last year, to be exact. So you walked me through what it looked like, just a snapshot of 2019 till now, and some of the things that you encountered along the way. But talk to me a little bit about what it took you guys to get there. How were you able to build this client base and have that explosive growth from 2021 to 2022?
Well, one of the things we did, we sat back and thought of things we could look at doing better. And one of the things we did was we looked at our client referral services. And we had 3. We thought they were all doing pretty well, but in actuality, only 2 were producing a lot. So we got rid of one, focused all of our energy on those that were performing, and we added more. We made our list of how many clients leads we want in a month come by bigger. So you get more leads, better leads, and so that helped us a great deal. when you have a source that's not producing, it's funny because you're so busy. Sometimes you think it's doing well, and that's what we found out when we took a look. And so we just jettisoned the one, and we worked with the two, and so they're doing very well. We also expanded a couple of what I call the channels that we have been working with all the time. When I wanted to grow those, we both wanted to grow them. One was with staffing agreements, and then local referral services are the two we're focusing on the hardest right now. We've had some staffing things brought our way, and they worked out very well. They were very exciting because they were 24/7, and you get three 24/7s within a week and a half. It's stressful, but also very fun. Finding caregivers, as you all know, you need at least, I would say, 12, 13 caregivers to do a 24/7 for each one of those. And so we were on the ball getting that going, and that was fun. So the staffing took off quicker and earlier, but we're happy with how both of them are going as far as the our new project there. And but also in the same vein, we wanted to focus on two of the strongest producers of clients for us, and that would be a skilled nursing and memory care facilities. And so we've had some success with that. Some of the business that we had coming up with the clients that we had coming in with the referral were from memory care, and the staffing also came from memory care. And so we're very happy with that. Skilled nursing is coming along just fine and dandy, but so far the early lead is coming from memory care on that one.
Wow.
Then we go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, please, Joe, keep going, man. You've got some great information here. I know others want to know how you're growing, so yeah, keep it rolling.
Well, then we decided to review all of our past leads that we did not land a client on. And so what we did was we took all the paid leads that we had them all in folders and also in our database. And so we reviewed them all, because some were just not going to be what we wanted, and some were just things, basically we didn't want them because they were very small. But the other ones we did want. So we sent out text and emails to each one of those, and letting them know that how are you doing currently. We would like to work with you over at a place at home in North Texas. And we did get some calls back. I was very surprised that we did. So we got some calls back and doing some conversations. Some just called us to thank us for calling and checking on them. So that was kind of nice. But we did get 2 leads from that. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you go through all those leads, it's just getting 2, quite frankly, was satisfactory for the time, because it was just not that much time invested. So I was really happy, and I know Janis was too. And so I think we'll also get some things down the road from that too, because as I mentioned, some people are happy that we called and wanted to stay in touch. So we'll see how that goes.
No, that's wonderful. And kudos to you for not letting those old prospects collect dust and never look at them again.
Yeah.
So often people do that, and they don't reach back out. They don't have your follow through and follow up. So those are 2 leads that you otherwise wouldn't have had, or had you not been following up. So that's great.
Yeah, it's something we had talked about for quite a while, but we were pretty much too busy to actually sit down and do that. And as things, we got caught up a little bit is when we did that. And it felt good, because you really want to know what were in those leads that may still be available. And so we went through them, and we'll continue to do that. Janis did a really good job on those. So like I say, we were happy with the 2 leads that we got. We did get the clients, so we're happy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And of course, as time went on, we decided it's time to raise our rates, because we were getting so busy that we were getting a little more choosy on who we would take. We upped the number of hours we would take per week because we were taking smaller things, and they kind of get in the way of bigger things. When you find a bigger piece of business, a client comes in a lot of hours for 1 week, and all of a sudden you've got people doing smaller hours. And caregivers like to have a nice steady schedule for themselves, which I think everybody would like. But so actually that helped us out there. It was just raising the rates because we felt at that time that we might have been maybe a little underpriced. And so we were pretty aggressive in moving up, and it's worked out. It's worked out very well. And the caregivers are happy also because they get more hours now, because it's it's one of those things where if you don't raise your rates, you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table, because we know what the competitors are doing, and we try to keep abreast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've given a ton of great information and tidbits and things that all home care owners could focus on to better their growth, to better their profit. But I do want to take one step back, because knowing you and Janis all the way back from 2019, and knowing how you have grown and the focus that you've put into your prospects, your referral sources, to growing, rolling up your sleeves and just working hard. Sometimes it's hard to fathom, but looking at that entire pipeline, all right, so you're the highest growth. Well, what comes behind that growth? Behind that growth is billable hours. What's behind those billable hours? Clients. Behind those clients is a prospect. Behind the prospect is a referral source, right? So any one of those checkpoints along the way, tweaking, spending time and energy and effort enhancing, is going to ultimately increase your revenue. Ultimately, eventually, as you raise your rates, and have happier caregivers and so forth, as you were saying, with the more steady schedules, also increase your retention. But every one of those checkpoints are things that you guys have worked on and that have gotten better, and that most certainly contribute to your growth, right? Very easily, when a call comes in or a prospect comes in, you may say, well, I may get back to them later this afternoon. I'm kind of busy, right? But you don't. You jump on it. Yeah. You get on those phone calls, you text, you call, you reach out to those people immediately. You follow up, you get in front of them. You have those family room visits in which you're sitting down with the family, talking to them face to face, getting to know who they are and them, who you are, and why, you are the person that they should entrust with their family's care, right? That in itself is an art, right? And a way in which you need to now close that prospect into a client. And now that you have that client, how many hours could they have, right? You need to make sure you're building a schedule that's based off of their needs, but also their wants, and how you can fulfill that. Again, a way in which you can increase your hours. And then if you don't have a satisfied customer, your hours are going to end, and it'll all be for naught anyway. So continuing to keep client satisfaction at the top. I mean, all of those things go into this, Joe. So it's not just getting more clients. It's not just getting more hours. You've improved all of those in all of those ways. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. It's been,
but with all that growth, it doesn't come without challenges, right? If growth was easy and business ownership and growing a successful company was easy, everyone would do it. But no, you're definitely dedicated, and you and Janis deserve, reaping some of the rewards that you are now. But, with all that growth, it doesn't come, as we had said, without some of the challenges. Mm-hmm. And some of the things that we hear within the home care industry so often is staffing. How am I going to get the next caregiver? How am I going to keep up with some of that demand? So with your growth, do you want to talk about maybe some things that you have done to keep pace with that growth in terms of, hiring and retention? I know you had mentioned, increasing some of your hours and optimizing schedule, but what else goes into that? Please tell me a little more.
It is true that as you increase your client base, you're going to need a lot more caregivers. And it was a big shock how, we all, when you first come into this business, it's kind of a shock because you think there's a lot of caregivers out there, I'll hire some and it'll be great. Well, they're very difficult to hire because there's not a lot that are qualified as far as as far as you want them to be, and they don't show up for their interview. They don't show up for their orientation. They don't show up for their first day on the job. And so you move those along and you focus on the ones that you got. You take really good care of them. I think we treat our, I think you can see the Home Care Pulse results, that we're doing really well with that because we do care. They are the ones that are facing the company, and we count on them to be who we want them to be, and that is the best caregivers in the business. So, but the other thing is, when you start hiring them, you want to ask them about, do you have any friends that are also in the business? Mm-hmm. We've been doing that since day one, but for some reason, since we've been bringing a lot of these newer people on, and we've pretty much doubled our caregiver count over the last 6-7 months, you find more. There's more caregivers to bring you more leads from their friends. And so we seem to have one of those like almost once a week some days.
Wow.
Some days, I should say. So we're very happy with that. So
are you incentivizing them for those referrals, Joe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's an incentive for them. Once they've worked a certain amount of hours, they get a bonus, and it's pretty generous too, we think. But the other thing is, when you're working with these caregivers, you want to make sure that everything that the client needs is taken care of. So that you really got to make sure that you have a good assessment plan. And the assessment plan has to guide them through their day. If you give them a bad assessment plan, a care plan after their assessment, I should say, they're going to do a poor job. So we make sure that we take them out to visit the new clients every single time there's a new client. We take a caregiver out and introduce them.
That's awesome.
We go over the entire assessment at that particular point in time, take the tour through the house. This is where the bathroom is. This is where everybody, the family, here at the office, and also the people in the field, all know what to do and what to expect when they get there. And I think that's a big help. We get a lot of people saying, well, I was just told to go to this house, and here's the address, and I had to walk in, and I wasn't sure what I was getting into. And I'm like, well, that's bad. Because we want them to be very familiar with, clients have, they're particular about their caregivers. And so you want to make sure you get a good fit. And the only way to get a good fit really is to have a nice stable of them out there to pick from. And so, I mean, that's worked for us also. And plus, we have a new training program. We had a training program. We weren't nuts about it. We didn't use it to its full potential because it was too difficult for us. We thought it wasn't the thing. So we got a new platform, and it's far better. We absolutely love it, and the caregivers do too. So what we do is we incent them. We give them certain milestones to reach, and then they get incented for that. And also to get them to hurry up and get to it, we offer the first 5 people get a certain amount of bonus money. So that keeps them busy wanting to get started. And then once they get started, they find out it's good. And we do the same thing. It's Parkinson's, dementia, fall prevention, and all of those things that they have right off the bat. We had it before, but it's far deeper now than it was in the past. We feel very good about what we're doing with them, and they like it too. They've been very happy with it. So, a happy caregiver is a great caregiver.
That's where it starts. You can't have a happy client without a happy caregiver, right?
That's exactly right.
So you most certainly are investing in them. I'm sure they appreciate that, and it shows. When you spend time and energy and effort and money, of course. I mean, these training programs aren't free, and it definitely does show that you are invested in your team. You're invested in your team. So, Joe, you had mentioned that even within the last 6 months, doubling your care staff. You talked about bringing on some fantastic office support crew. Do you mind just giving us a little bit more insight on that and how maybe it has helped you to, put your focus in other areas?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. there was a lot of times when we were so busy, I actually stopped and said, I would really like to take the time to run this company because you're running around doing so many things that some of the things you want to do, actually what I call running the company was looking at spreadsheets and whatever. But that was different for me. Is I was always used to having a lot of data to look at, but here I was working so much that I didn't have the time, and I felt bad about it, and I really wanted to do it. But now I have more time, and plus I have people here that really know what they're doing. And by the way, they're also outstanding with our caregivers too. Our caregivers immediately love these new people, and so I was really happy about that because they were used to calling myself or Janis, and so they did a great job on that also. But I would say that bringing the team that we have now, I feel really very good about the future. I mean, we had a nice year last year, but I'm looking at even a bigger year this coming year, as long as everything goes the way we're planning on it to go.
Awesome. That's great. Well, and when you look back at the last year, a lot of things have come together for you. Would you say that there has been a secret sauce along that way? Is there anything specifically you'd point out to, that would have contributed the most to this growth?
Yes, Jerod, I do. And it's resilience. I think you have to be resilient. And I look back and I noticed just, if things aren't going to come easy. They're not going to come fast. Things are going to go wrong. But you have to be resilient and come back and start the next day, just as happy as you were the day before. And the thing of it is, if you're not resilient, you're going to fail because you're not going to continue working. You're going to quit. And you want to keep on going. You have to have positive attitude. You have to have positive relationships with your clients as well as your caregivers and staff. And those things really do matter. And one of the things that I look at all the time is you have to have the capacity to recover quickly. I think that's very important. You just can't sit around and go, oh, this happened. I can't believe that happened. And oh my, you just got to move on. You just have to take the next step because there's always going to be difficult situations and there's always going to be challenging experiences that you have to go through. So I think just staying on top of that and just never quitting. Honestly, there are times when we want to take off running, but then but you don't, because you want to make this work and you want to care for the people that you said you wanted to care for, and that's what we wanted to do. So if we weren't doing it, there would be people out there that could need care that we would not be able to provide. But so that's it. I truly believe 100% that persistence and resilience are the key to growth.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. And in the comments here, no quit in Joe and Janis from Dustin to Stefano. Seeing that here, Aubrey Phillips saying resilience. Yes, this is it. So we've got the audience out there and definitely right there by your side. And good things come to those who wait, or good things come to those who work really hard, and good things come to those who don't quit. Right. But all of those things you and Janis are doing. And so now I think that's great. And normally I would end it right there on such a high note, but I can't. I want to know, going into this next year, and I'm going to just take it back to our convention. In our convention, Dustin and I talked about ways in which all of our owners can maximize what they have, maximize revenue streams, maximize other pay sources. We have senior focused care, in-home care, care coordination, senior living alternatives. We have staffing. So, and there's a lot of people gunning for this award next year, Joe. How are you going to stay ahead? What are you going to do? How are you going to continue? I know you had mentioned doing some staffing, but tell me what's going on in your mind now that you're able to really work on the business?
Well, as I say, we started, looking at doing some staffing. and it started out okay. If we can continue to build that, that would be a wonderful thing. And we are attempting to build that. That's really what we want to do. And also increasing our local referral partner. Again, you have to have those people calling in and saying, I have a lady who just broke her hip and she's going to need some help. If you don't have anybody to do that for you, you're missing out a great deal. So we're really trying to grow that. It's one area that we needed to grow. And also, I think training our caregivers to be the best caregivers. And everybody says they have the best caregivers, but in your heart, you know that yours are really outstanding caregivers, and you're very proud of them, and we are. And I think they're very proud to work here too. I really do. And with the staff we brought in, again, that's going to give us some ammunition to keep up and exceed a little bit more than we did this past year. So I say it's full steam ahead.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. And I mean, you've hit on so many of the key points in home care and business ownership, from resilience to client satisfaction, caregiver satisfaction, training, development. You can't, again, have happy clients without happy caregivers. And you are investing in your crew, you're investing in your team and your internal staff. I think these things are going to be paying off huge. And I can't wait for convention time and award season next year to see if we can have the Christies coming back again in North Texas, having not only the highest growth, but who knows? We've got a lot of other awards out there that you may be in the running for as well. Are your sights on any other awards, Joe?
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to say what they are, only because I
don't want to show your hand. I got you.
I just don't want to show my hand, but it's also kind of embarrassing to say I'm going to shoot for this. So there are ones that we want to shoot for, and
all right,
we
could touch on that offline.
All right.
Well, very good. Well, again, Joe, thank you so much for spending some time with me here today on sharing with myself and our LinkedIn community just all of the fantastic things you have done over this last year and beyond to get you to where you are, and to have that substantial growth, and to continue to thrive during that period of growth where others sometimes hit speed bumps. You've done a great job, and again, there's going to be some amazing things coming your way. I know it. They've already are happening, and it's only going to continue.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks again, Joe. I mean, with that, unless you have anything else to say, I will end it for today.
No, thank you for having me.
You bet. All right. We'll see you, Joe.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.